This video is brought to you by WorldSoccerShop.com, offering the world's largest selection of authentic jerseys and apparel for both club and country. Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you a first look plus on-feet video of the brand new Under Armour Speedform CRM in the Emerald Lake and High Vis Yellow colorway. Now inside the box, they do include 2 extra sets of laces to go along with the High Vis Yellow ones already on the shoes. You get 1 black set and 1 Emerald Lake set, which is kind of like a teal green color. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the latest offering from Under Armour, which I have to say is very, very interesting and a shoe that I'm very excited to try out. So this is the new Speedform CRM. In today's video, we're going to be going over all the tech specs and really performance details that you should know about this particular shoe, because it is an all new design from Under Armour. It's not based off any of their previous models. We're going to talk about how they fit, we're going to talk about the weight, and of course we're going to talk about the overall sizing of the shoe as well. So if you're interested in learning more about the new Speedform CRM, please stick around, watch the entire video. And of course, if you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, check out the review page on my website. It'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find buy it now links for this particular shoe in all the currently available colorways, along with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you will be able to pick these up below their normal $220 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's go over all of the tech specs and learn a little bit more about the Speedform CRM from a performance standpoint, because when you're talking about design, there's really been no other shoe like this before. It's quite unique. So the upper is what they call their Speedform synthetic material, and there's actually 2 synthetic variations of this particular shoe. This is the standard model, and then there's another one that I'm sure you've seen. It's available in either black or white that looks like leather, but isn't actually a leather upper. It's a synthetic leather material, similar to Nike's Kangolite. I'm planning on getting those in for review very, very soon, so stay tuned for that if you are at all interested. It's supposed to provide a different feel than these, which is going to be more of a thin synthetic material, but with a twist that we'll talk about in just a second. So this Speedform upper and just the overall look of the shoe is based on this guy right here, the Speedform running line. Now I've been wearing these actually for the last month or so, kind of in anticipation for this new Speedform soccer cleat, mainly because I never wore one of these. I always thought they looked pretty cool, and it was a different design, but like I said, I never actually tried a pair for myself. I was really impressed with these. The upper is pretty much a very soft mesh, completely seamless in its design, and as you guys can see side by side, very, very similar design characteristics. You have the seam right here, you have the seam here on the medial side as well. And what's interesting about this shoe, aside from the upper, is actually the lining material. You can see it's a completely seamless heel liner with no actual insole. The lining material just kind of flows into the insole, exactly like what you're going to find here on the new Speedform CRM. So as far as this synthetic upper is concerned, it's a layered synthetic with kind of a more structured toe and forefoot area, as you guys can see, where you have these little indents here. It's not necessarily something that you're going to notice while you're wearing the shoe. It's supposed to give it more of an anatomical, true to an actual foot shape and feel. But that's not something that's, like I said, super noticeable when it is on feet, but I do think it looks very cool and definitely very modern. Now, the synthetic material is thin. It's not as soft as I was expecting it to be, especially based on the running shoe, how thin, and really there's no structure to this material whatsoever. It wouldn't be ideal as a soccer cleat upper material just because there's no real support or stability to this type of material. With this material, while it looks very similar, it's actually quite different. It's made up of 3 separate layers that hopefully you guys can see here by the side profile. You have a top layer, which is the green part. You have a middle layer, which seems to be kind of like a foamy mesh material. And then you have this inside lining material, which is like a nice soft synthetic suede. It's very, very comfortable when it's on your feet, but I was surprised at the stiffness of the synthetic. It feels a lot stiffer than I was expecting it to be. And you can feel the layers actually rubbing together. It's not necessarily something that's a negative thing, and I really feel like this is one of those materials that once you break them in, once they heat up a little bit, it's going to break in really nicely and become a lot more flexible. From right out of the box, like I said, It's a little bit thicker and a little bit stiffer than I was honestly expecting it to be, but I'm very hopeful after some break-in time. You can see even when I push it in right here, it kind of stays. It's a pretty stiff synthetic from the get-go. That's obviously not something that's going to happen when you're actually wearing the shoe, and it does bounce back to its original shape. But again, from right out of the box, it does feel a little bit stiffer than I was expecting, but not necessarily in a bad way. They're very, very comfortable from right out of the box, which is kind of what you look for from any pair of soccer cleats. So the finish on the upper is pretty much a matte finish, very smooth, no extra grip whatsoever. So if that's something that you're looking for, you're not going to get it here. They're thin, but they're not overly thin. It has a slightly padded sensation to it as well. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Nike Hypervenom Phantom 1 in terms of the thickness of the material, maybe a little bit thicker, just because it is a little bit more dense because you have that extra layer of material, whereas the Phantom was just mesh on the bottom, and then of course the Nike Skin covering. This has that extra lining material, which gives it, like I said, that extra density. Laces run through the middle. You can see the tongue itself is thinner along the sides, and then through the middle it does have that extra padded sensation to it, just to cut down on any kind of lace bite and just maintain a good comfort level overall. You can see you have these two bars here that essentially cover up what would be a seam on the outside, and of course it's where they put their Speedform branding, which I think looks pretty cool. Moving on to the rear portion of the shoe, you can see it is a low-cut design. You do have an external plastic heel counter that is actually made from P-backs, by the way. Not necessarily that it matters when it comes to a heel counter, but it's nice and solid and has some good size to it as well, so it's going to provide good protection as well as keep your heel from sliding side to side when you actually do pull the laces tight. And then moving on to the inside of the shoe, that's where things really, really get interesting. The top edge here of the liner is a nice soft synthetic suede, and you can see bordering that edge is a very thin layer of this kind of liquid rubber material that's just going to grip your socks at the very, very edge here and just provide that little bit of extra grip, keeping your heel locked in place. A nice little touch here that you can't really tell in the online pictures, but it's very noticeable when you put these shoes on and just hold them in your hands. And then the heel liner kind of flows into what is an entirely one-piece insole lining combo. It really is an all-in-one type of design, something we've really never seen before from a soccer cleat. So there's no removable insole, it's just part of the shoe. And as you guys can see, it's totally seamless, which is really, really nice. Now that's not to say that there are no seams at all. Obviously they're covered up here, but they're covered up in such a way where it's completely smooth. There's no seams that you're going to be able to feel while you're wearing the shoe. And it's a very, very interesting sensation. So the heel liner, all lined in mesh, as you guys can see, which is very, very soft to the touch, has kind of a very soft foam backing right here at the very heel area, kind of like little Achilles pads to keep your heel locked in place, something we don't see very often with soccer cleats, but they have done it here and it feels fantastic. You can see that flows directly to the bottom of the shoe with no actual seam, which is really, really unique. And then at the bottom, you have more of that mesh material that continues to where the insole would normally be positioned with this very soft padding material. It's very soft, it's very spongy. It's kind of like a memory foam type material that feels absolutely fantastic when you slide these shoes on your feet. Like I said, it's unlike anything else that I've ever worn. You can see the liner extends and then kind of cuts off right here, where it turns into this green color, which again is this nice soft synthetic suede material. Also feels very good against your feet, and overall it's just very comfortable. This padding goes all the way through the entire foot here, so you get this very soft, almost like walking on carpet barefoot type of sensation when you slide these things on your feet. It's very, very comfortable, and a shoe that I can't wait to actually run around in, because they feel more like running shoes on your feet from a comfort standpoint, as opposed to soccer cleats that normally have very minimal underfoot cushioning and padding in general. But like I said, these feel absolutely fantastic. Really, really excited about this kind of seamless one-piece design they have going on the inside of this shoe. Moving on to the outsole, the first thing that you're going to notice is this little sticker here that I haven't pulled off yet. Basically it says this: battle scars. If you're competing hard enough, the chrome paint on these cleats could chip off. Wear them with pride. So essentially this does have kind of like a yellow chrome finish to the sole plate as well as the studs, something that they are warning you with this sticker will chip off over time. Obviously this is something that seems to be a pretty consistent theme as of late with soccer cleats. We see it with the Hypervenom Phantom 2 that has that graphic printed on the bottom that again does wear off over time. Not something that's going to affect the performance of the shoe, just might change how the sole plate looks in the long run, which again isn't too big of a deal. And I kind of like their marketing here. They're not just telling you it's going to wear off, they're kind of telling you wear it as a battle scar, which again, not necessarily something that's for everybody, but I think it's kind of a cool little way of telling you that the sole and the material here, or the paint I should say, isn't going to stay the same the entire lifespan of the shoe. So the sole plate itself is made from a Pebax material, and it has some really good thickness to it. If you're worried about stud pressure or anything like that, I would not be, because this, like I said, this has a good amount of kind of stiffness this way, and it's just good thickness in general. It's got some decent flexibility, which is a common characteristic of Pebax, but because it is quite thick, it's fairly stiff at first. But again, after some break-in time, I expect it'll become a lot more flexible. And then, of course, you have the firm ground stud pattern here. That's all bladed studs, as you guys can see. You have 4 blades in the heel, pretty common layout. And then you have 6 blades in the forefoot, 3 on each side. Nothing too uncommon. You can see more of those little kind of indentations there to kind of mark where your toes would normally be. You don't have any of that sensation there on the inside of the shoe. It's just on the top. Just kind of for aesthetic reasons, so don't really take much from that at all. And then one support stud right there in the middle. It's a new stud pattern from Under Armour, and I expect it to perform quite well. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Pretty minimal as far as the amount of studs that you're getting here, but they seem like they are going to dig in quite nicely, provide a good amount of bite, provide good grip, and because the edges are slightly rounded, I expect them to have some pretty decent maneuverability as well. So overall, I'm very optimistic of this design. The one thing that I am a little bit disappointed with out of the box is just the texture of the material. I was expecting it to be a little bit softer than it actually is. But again, after some break-in time, I do think that it is going to get a little bit softer. And of course, I will follow up with more content and opinions on the Speedform CRM once I get some testing time in these things. So that's pretty much it as far as tech specs go. Next, let's move on to a quick weigh-in so we can see how lightweight these guys are. As far as weight is concerned, the Speedform CRM isn't as lightweight as you might expect it to be just based on how it looks. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9.5 US. We're going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.4 ounces, the equivalent of 238 grams. So at 8.4 ounces, they're not unbelievably light. They're certainly not heavy either. They're light enough in my opinion. They're definitely not going to be in the same weight range as something like a Nike Mercurial Vapor 10 or even a 2014 or 2015 F50 Adizero if that's something that you're looking to compare these to. But again, if you're looking for a shoe that is extremely comfortable, has a very unique kind of seamless design on the inside of the shoe, and at the same time is going to feel relatively solid on your feet as well, you shouldn't have any issues with the weight of the Speedform CRM. As far as the aesthetics of the shoe are concerned, I like the design. I can't say that I'm crazy about the colorway. Now the colorway here is what they call Emerald Lake and High Vis Yellow. Emerald Lake is this kind of turquoise green type color that you have for the majority of the upper. It does have the visible mesh underlay that kind of looks like a black or dark navy blue against that Emerald Lake color upper. And then of course you do have the little slits where the toes are, which I think looks really cool. Again, not necessarily the most functional thing, but it does look the part, gives the shoe a very modern aesthetic. I like the just design and shape of it. I think it's a very sleek looking shoe. You have your Under Armour branding in a neon yellow, smaller on the lateral side and then much larger here on the medial side. Then you have these two, what appears to be kind of like a welded on strip with a nice kind of metallic chrome finish, where you have the Speedform branding on the lateral side, and then here on the medial side you have one more of those strips that doesn't have any branding at all. Obviously they come with the neon yellow laces on the shoes, and they include the 2 extra sets, so you can swap those in if you prefer the look of those. You do have the little black rim at the top of the liner. The entire inside of the shoe is mostly high vis yellow with more of that Emerald Lake color lining kind of the sides of the upper. And then of course you have the sole plate and heel counter that is more of that high vis yellow with a slightly chrome finish. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, the chrome finish isn't quite as noticeable in person as you might expect it to be. It kind of just looks like a shiny yellow to me, but they're saying that the finish is actually going to flake off, so it won't have quite as shiny an appearance. But chrome yellow in general just doesn't look very chrome in my opinion. So again, it's really down to what your personal taste is. There is an alternate colorway of this particular shoe that's pretty much a blue upper with orange graphics or orange details on it that I think looks a little bit better personally. But again, it's all about personal preference and what you like the look of. So let me know your opinions on the appearance of the shoe down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. Alright, so here is a look at the Speedforms on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock neon yellow laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of neon yellow and black chevron SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, check out the website www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're very comfortable from right out of the box. The one thing that I did mention is that the sole plate and the upper, for the most part, is a little bit stiffer from out of the box than I was honestly expecting, just based on how these things look and based on how the Speedform running shoes feel. But nonetheless, they're still very, very comfortable. There's no issues here with discomfort, and I'm pretty confident they're going to soften up after a couple hours of wear time, if not even less than that. As far as the overall fit and feel on feet is concerned, it is a tighter fitting shoe, but it doesn't feel restrictive in any way at all. They're very comfortable and, dare I say, have a sock-like sensation, mainly due to that seamless construction that they have on the inside of the shoe. It doesn't feel that much more different than a standard soccer cleat would, that has a standard liner with all different separate parts and of course an actual insole that's removable, but it does feel very, very good. Now, in regards to the padded kind of lining on both the heel as well as the bottom of the foot, it does have, like I said, that spongy sensation to the touch, which is very noticeable when you first slide the shoe on your foot, but once you actually stand up and walk around, all of that foam compresses completely flat, and because your foot's not actually moving around on the inside of the shoe, it doesn't have the time to bounce back and provide that kind of responsive cushion sensation underfoot. So it, like I said, all flattens out when you actually put the shoes on, but nonetheless, it still feels very, very comfortable, completely seamless, and really no complaints at all regarding the overall comfort level of the shoe. As far as width is concerned, it does have kind of that anatomical shape in the forefoot and toe box area, so there is some decent width here. This is not a narrow fitting shoe by any means. With that being said, if you have really, really wide feet, perhaps not the best option for you. I can't see this material stretching all that much. The way they fit from right out of the box is more or less the way they're going to fit for their entire lifespan. But again, they're going to be suitable for most people. As long as you don't normally have issues with width, you shouldn't have any issues with these either. As far as sizing is concerned, Under Armour is pretty well known at this point to run about a half size small, so instead of wearing my usual size 9 US, I bumped it up to a 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going half a size up in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that is it for my first impressions of the new Under Armour Speedform CRM. Can't wait to try these things out, and of course I'll be following up with more content on these on the channel very, very shortly. In the meantime, if you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend checking out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you will be able to pick these up below their normal $220 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair for yourself, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding this particular shoe, I'd be happy to answer them down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like, subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.